Hey guys, and welcome back to Chatting Breeze. Today's topic is going to be about failure. I know, maybe a strange one. However, bear with me because it does link back around again to what I talk about in regards to business and starting your own business, and maybe the things that stop you from starting a business or starting a passion that you have and you want to potentially see it, what avenues you can go down, and if it's something that you can make into a career which can financially sustain you or your family. And failure is one of those, is in the fear of failing, which stops so many of us from proceeding to bigger and potentially better things in life, because we're scared of something that we don't know, i.e. we don't know if it's going to be successful. Sorry guys. If someone could tell you your fortune in regards to your future and say, yes, if you start this, you're going to be successful, I bet majority of people would start something. But the fact that they don't know and there is a potential risk for failure stops people. And I have been in the same position. I have had ideas before or had different concepts for things and have stopped myself. And why, when I think back, it's because I'm so scared, or I was so scared of failing. And I was so scared of potentially not reaching it, and then what would I look like to other people? And then, you know, you've told other people about it and now you haven't achieved it. So other people are going to potentially think you're a failure, which then you then feel shit about yourself, let's be honest. And I just want to say that I then got to a point that I just thought, well, hold on a second. Why am I so concerned about either, number one, other people's thoughts of me failing and potentially not having been successful or something? Are they living my life? Are they paying my bills? Are they in my head and my heart every day, whether I'm happy or not happy? No. And then for myself, I really had to think to myself, okay, so what does failure actually mean to me? And when I was doing that, I realized that it meant that my ego would be hurt. Which, hold on, because this does, I promise you, if you're like sitting there thinking, what is she going on about? Basically, if you fail, it's the embarrassment, right? What does that feed? It feeds the ego. The ego gets hurt. The ego is then damaged, as in you think, oh my gosh, like I've embarrassed myself, or people think this about me, and that hits your ego. And I realized once I let go of my ego and I let go of worrying that that was going to be dented or that was going to be damaged in some way, I was then able to move on and was able to start my business. And I just feel that when I talk to people and other friends and stuff like that who are thinking about doing something else, who have an idea or don't know kind of where to start, and they're just kind of making excuses because they know exactly where to start, they know what they need to do, they know the first steps that they need to take, they're just so scared and worried about taking them. And especially, I think, when you can see the potential in someone else, you sometimes can't ever see it in yourself. When you see someone else and you think, oh, you'd be great at this, or you can do this, you never really see that in yourself. And it's the craziest thing that our minds kind of play tricks on us and psych us out of things. But if you can get over that, and if you can just make those first steps, you realize that everything isn't as scary. Every step starts to get a little bit kind of, you think, well, I've already done this step, so this is the next logical step. And then you think, well, that was okay, that didn't hurt too much, I didn't fail at the first hurdle, so why don't I carry on? And little by little, like, that gives you more confidence, and it starts to subside the fact that you're worrying and thinking about failure, because you think, well, I was a little bit successful here, or I managed to do that. Even if it's something simple like creating a logo, and you think, oh, I don't know, like this is gonna look crap, it's gonna look shit, or whatever it is, and then you create the logo and you go, oh, well actually, like, this logo is pretty bomb, it's pretty badass, actually I really like this logo, and you realize actually I did this, I didn't fail at this, and then little by little it's like stage by stage, and it's just about having the confidence and being able to then realize that the fear of failure starts to go down the ladder, and everything else starts to climb up as you're doing better things and you're gaining more confidence in yourself, and the thought of failure just starts to push down a little bit. And it's just so important to keep thinking and keep reminding yourself why you're so worried about failing. And I do feel that we program ourselves from a young age to fear failure. When you're at school, for instance, you know, it's bad to fail, it's bad not to do well, and you know, it's embarrassing. Usually our first times of failure have been maybe in a bit of a public forum, so you might be in class and you didn't know the answer, and the teacher might have said, no, that's not the correct answer, and your friends might have gone, ah, and it kind of then starts to give you this dread. I know for myself, like I had this like literally like pent up dread, feeling fire burning through if I was to get something wrong, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna laugh at me and whatever else. And sometimes even at work, you can translate that to work. It can go into adulthood, and you can think, you know, you can be in a meeting and you don't want to speak up still. You revert to being that kid, right, at school who doesn't want to speak up because you're scared of being wrong. You're scared of not getting it right. But actually, I mean, if you listen to any story of anyone who's been successful, my goodness, the amount of failures they have had has been unreal. But what they do is they turn that and they think it's not a failure, it's a learning experience. Whatever you start, and for myself, whatever I start may not be the first thing that's going to, you know, be the most successful thing that's going to kick off and explode in the world. But that's okay, because if you've learned from it, guess what? That can translate into the next thing that you do, which would then potentially be successful. And maybe when the stakes are a little bit high, you go, ah, okay, when the stakes weren't as high, I remembered this. So that failure has now really helped you to be successful in the second or the third or the fourth attempt, whatever attempt it is. But you cannot let it stop you. Don't let your fear of failure and how we've been programmed to think about failure as such a negative thing, as maybe even a visceral reaction to failure that we have, stop you from achieving and from doing something that you actually really want to do. And if it's a passion as well, which I think really makes a difference, if it's something that you really enjoy or you really care about, the failure in it, or maybe not achieving exactly what you want, tends to not be a big enough thing to stop you. And that really has to depend on you as to what avenues you want to go down, and what it is that you want to either, you know, produce. So if you're, you know, building something, I don't know, for instance, if you're going to sell a brand, or you are building a new technology, or whatever it is, the point is the fact that if we stop thinking about failure as such a negative thing, we realize what it is, we realize that it's just the fear, we realize that it's just something which is going to maybe take our ego for a little bit of a knock for the time being, but guess what, you can pick yourself back up again, then that hopefully will be enough to make you make those first small steps. And they're the important things that you need to remember. You just need to remember it's one baby step at a time. If I think of everything that, you know, I have to come in my business, I probably would start freaking out. And half of it I don't even know. I know there's going to be massive curveballs that are going to come my way. But it's just about just taking everything as a bite-sized step. Just make the first step. It's like getting out of bed in the morning. You just need to put one foot outside the bed, second foot outside the bed, and stand up. That's step one. That's step one for getting out of bed. And that's how I personally, that's how I am able to keep going and keep, you know, figuring things out and not stressing and worrying so much, or letting it stop me from from the future, or thinking about the future, or thinking about failure or anything like that. I just take everything bite size and just take it step by step and just think logically, what is the next thing that I need to do? What's the next thing that makes sense to me in my business and to be able to grow it? And actually, the reason why I wanted to do this video so badly is because I even had to recheck myself a little bit recently. Opportunity came to reach out to somebody. I won't kind of do specifics at the moment, but I was in a social circle, and the opportunity came that somebody had a contact in potentially a store that, you know, I could maybe look to put my t-shirts out in. And fear, panic, worry of failure literally started to come up, and I started to find myself like shrinking away, going, oh, yeah, that would be great, but you know, don't worry if it's not too much hassle, and and, you know, but I'm only just here, I haven't really figured this part, or I haven't done this part yet. And I'm starting to psych myself up. I'm starting to already put that out there because I'm worried about an answer being potentially no and failing at that. And I thought, what am I doing? Like, this could be a potentially an amazing opportunity. What the hell am I doing by telling this person who's offering their help to me that, oh, you know, don't worry too much, don't worry too much. Like, these opportunities don't come around every day. You know, you never know if you're going to see this person again. You don't know if that's going to be the one and only time, and you're literally being the person who stops that from happening. I mean, it just made me realize and made me think, and I just thought, my gosh, like, I thought I'd come so far from it, from starting my company and realizing that the failure that I was worrying about wasn't going to stop me, to then being in present day and realizing that it's still there slightly, it's still tweaking. And I really had to recheck myself and just think, this is your ego of being worried that you're going to look like an idiot at the end of this, and it's going to be a little bit bruised. But then I had to say to myself, stop it, Natalie, it's okay. Like, your ego will get over this if it doesn't work out, or if you embarrass yourself, if somebody asks you a question you're not 100% sure about just yet, that's okay. So you can still have a conversation about your brand. Guys, I hope this might have inspired you, might have helped you a little bit if you're sitting on the fence and not too sure, and you're worried about potentially starting something or going and pursuing something that you're really passionate about. Then hopefully this video might have made you think, do you know what, actually, I need to stop being worried and stop letting my fear and the worry of failure stop me from pursuing something which could make me really happy in the long run. All right, guys, until next week, I'll speak to you later. Bye.